Hello, web designer. This video is about how we redesign the website. I'll talk about the problems and situations we encountered during development and what it all cost us. This is the story of how we actually won a tender among leading Ukrainian design studios names. You all definitely know and refresh the website for a major company. We took on the information architecture and the CMS system. We went through 4 iterations of design concepts, signed the contract on very interesting terms, created unique metaphorical animated illustrations, and put it all together on Webflow. Let's dive in and take a closer look at how it all happened. And Mikhail will start this story from the perspective of marketing and the first interactions with the client. I give the floor to Mikhail.
Let's begin by introducing our client, Acvian. Acvian truly deserves to be called a global HR partner. So what does the company do? It helps businesses hire people from any country in the world. Acvian takes on the role of intermediary and assumes responsibility for contract signing, salary payments, and all those documentary and legal matters that ensure and protect the interests of both the employer and the employee. How did Acvian find us? Through a recommendation. They received the recommendation, looked through our blog, and scheduled a call with us. But during the call, they made it clear that a recommendation alone wouldn't be enough, since we were in a closed tender where it would be important to showcase our portfolio, processes, and also offer a competitive price, which is exactly what we did. Let's talk about that further. From the day we first met to the day we received the first payment into our account, 30 days passed. Interestingly, during those 30 days, we had only 2 calls in total. The first was an intro call, and the second was a call with the company's CEO.
We're no longer a startup, now we're a group of companies, and the demands keep getting higher and higher. And our internal vision has also completely changed as the company has grown from a single subsidiary in Ukraine to almost 10 now.
On the first call, we met the business manager and the business developer, and we received a clear technical specification from the team to assess the project. I want to show you this technical specification now, because documents and specifications like this are very rare in our work. This technical specification was in Notion, where it was very clearly outlined who they are, what they want to do, what their needs are, some design references, technical requirements, and links to wireframes and texts. To briefly summarize this technical specification, it went as follows. We have a website on WordPress. It doesn't look good enough. It's inconvenient for marketers to work with, to write blogs, and we need some new solution. And we have 2 options. The first is to redesign the same site on WordPress. We would solve the visual problem, but we wouldn't solve the marketing department's problem. Or we can migrate this site to Webflow and solve both problems at once. In our project estimate, we calculated 2 scenarios: developing the site on Webflow and developing the site on WordPress. All the students of Design Comedy already know how to work with this table. Here you can simply enable or disable a scenario, and it will calculate the total estimate and the retainers. Moreover, when you move on to, say, the website design stage, you can see each phase and clearly describe tasks that will be completed in that phase. You can go to Figma and see examples of what the work in this phase will look like, who will be working on it, how much it will cost, and how much time it will take. After we send the project estimate with an explanation in Loom along with the bid deck, we received a response from the Acvian team. First of all, they wanted to acknowledge and thank us for the quality of our presentations and the accuracy of our timeline estimates. They really appreciate this approach. After this email, we got the green light for a second meeting, and this time it was a meeting with the CEO of Acvian. This meeting was arranged so that we could exchange our visions of how we would collaborate. The CEO of Acvian shared her vision of how the website should develop. For our part, we explained how we would build it in order to achieve their goals.
What's important isn't even the numbers on paper, in Excel, as they say. In Excel, there are some numbers, you add up the costs, and maybe the size of the company seems important, but what really matters are the people who make up the company, the ones who will work on the product to ensure it's delivered on time, within the set budget that suits the client, and with mutual understanding. It's really very important to be on the same wavelength, as they say, so that we can actually understand each other.
So after a 40-minute call, we received a second email with their decision. I want to let you know that we have decided to move forward with you and are ready to entrust our project to the Figmatica team. That was great news, after which the contract signing process began. Objectively, this usually takes about 2 or 3 hours to complete the whole process. But with Acvian, it wasn't that simple, in particular, since they're a legal HR company whose business is built on contracts. And when we sent them the contract, we got a thorough review from them with all sorts of little nuances and details pointed out for free. And we received some really great advice for our company from their highly paid lawyers. Now I'll hand it over to Arsen.
So, friends, let's take a look at what the Acvian company's website looked like before we got involved. Before the redesign, it actually looked quite old school, and it wasn't just about the visuals, although I think it's clear from the visuals alone that there are many nuances. The big problem was with the structure, with showcasing their experience, because the company already has a huge amount of experience, many successful cases and offices in many countries around the world. But the website didn't look at all like what you would expect from a company of that level. There were no trust badges, no client cases, and not even a clear website structure. None of this was present on Acvian's old website. The Acvian team found it difficult to fill this site with content, new articles, new elements, and so on. And it was precisely the work with visuals that we considered, the most important aspect of this collaboration. So friends, where did we start? Acvian provided us with a lot of materials. There was a sitemap. Yes, they already understood what the updated site architecture should be, which pages were needed, where there would be an admin panel and where there wouldn't be one. They had attached Google Docs with the text for the pages, which made our work much easier. We had both the text and the structure for each page. It's truly a pleasure to work with clients like this, because very often clients have nothing prepared. And then we have to allocate a certain amount of time specifically for building the architecture, copywriting, prototypes, and so on. Acvian, on the other hand, came to us with everything ready, and our task was to transfer all this information into the layouts beautifully and with high quality. Similarly, Acvian provided us with a document containing their ideal client profile, so that we would have a clear understanding of who their target audience is. We studied all of this in detail, and of course it helped us approach the development process more transparently and deeply. Acvian also had a brand book, which already included the fonts that Acvian wanted us to use. By the way, there's about to be a funny moment here. I'll tell you that we didn't use certain things from the brand book because we didn't like them. But we'll get to that in a moment. So our next step, after we received everything we needed from the client, namely the ASP, the brand book, the wireframe, and the sitemap, was to immediately move on to developing design concepts. Usually when we work with a client, the design concepts come after the UX research, that is, after the sitemap, wireframe, moodboard, and styleboard. In this case, we simply didn't need to go through all those stages because the client had already completed them. They had a brand book, they had clear references, and all that was left for us was to start sketching out. Sketching out what? The design concepts, of course. Let's talk about this in more detail. So friends, there was a very interesting story with the concepts. In the first iteration, we prepared as many as 7 design concepts for our clients. Honestly, I'll tell you right away, spoiler alert, that after this client, we never did 7 design concepts again. 3 at most. Because it's simply too hard for the client to choose from so many options. I'll say right away that I had the role of design lead, and I was involved in the design concepts by 99%. All these concepts, except for maybe the last 2, were developed directly by me. In our company, I'm very often involved at the design concept stage, because this is the most important phase for selling your ideas and thoughts to the client. So here, as a co-owner and design lead, I am 100% involved. After that, of course, I hand the work over to our designers, and they skillfully continue to develop the ideas that come to my mind. So friends, take a look. Here is the first variation. As I mentioned, we really wanted to work with illustration already in the first version here, and not just an illustration, but to turn it into a kind of metaphor and use branded elements. I'm sure you remember that this little tree here is not just for show. This is the Acvian logo. In their brand book, there was an option to use the logo together with this kind of flower, these connections. some kind of planet, all of that was part of their logo. We decided that we absolutely didn't need to place such a massive thing in the navbar. It disrupts the balance and composition in the navbar. So in the navbar, we only place high quality horizontal text to keep everything aligned. And this tree-like thing, or this interaction of particles, we will use as an additional branding element. All these circles and lines represent the Acvian ecosystem. It helps companies efficiently find people, photos of people, and thanks to advanced banking solutions, as well as comprehensive legal and medical solutions, it helps to handle all this complex bureaucracy and simply ensures that after going through all these important and necessary stages, the employee finally arrives at the Acvian company. And we specifically wanted to showcase this entire journey and placed a strong emphasis on this prominent hero section. As you can see, it comes first on our list, and it was definitely our absolute favorite. Next, you can see that here we use the font that is not from the brand book. We immediately told the client that Roboto was a no-go. If we want to create a website that will remain relevant for many years and not lose its style or vibe, then we shouldn't use Roboto. And as we presented, friends, you can see that we presented it together with the mobile version, the first screen, so that the client could understand roughly how it would look on mobile. And we also added some branded elements to help sell this concept as a whole, and to understand how it would look across different platforms. The second concept was in the style of, maybe some of you have already guessed the company Intercom. At the time when we were developing the Acvian project, I was really inspired by Intercom. After this video, take a look at the Intercom website if you haven't seen it. It's simply a work of art. And here we decided to suggest to Acvian to also go in this direction with artificial intelligence, metaphors, large, interesting illustrations, and a combination of serif and grotesque fonts. Of course, we presented this in detail. By the way, friends, if you really want to see a full 20-minute Loom video where I present these concepts to clients in great detail, please just simply send me the word presentation in a direct message on Instagram right now, and a bot will absolutely and automatically send you the link to this video right away. Next, friends, the third concept. It is somewhat similar to the first one, but here for the first screen, I wanted to make the collage feel more human by including a person. A human face is what attracts the most attention. Yes, you want to look at it and examine it. And of course, here we decided to combine the Acvian symbol in the background again and add the photo of a happy person. Some representative, maybe, I don't know, a company leader who found an employee thanks to Acvian. So in other words, it works both ways. And here we also showed the client how some interface elements could look, elements that symbolize the company's work. We also decided to use a turquoise color here, something fresh and interesting. I personally liked the idea of using this kind of symbol in the arrow. It's a small detail, but it's very important because, as you can see, the letter A here is shaped like an interesting arrow, right? And we decided to use and suggest the same shape for the arrows. Next, friends, our following iteration looked like this. It's more corporate due to this central strong composition. And here again, there's an illustration that clearly shows a person's pathos, the road the person takes toward big business. Also, it's like Acvian really helps our employees get a job at such a company, for example. And there was a fifth concept in a dark theme as well, for variety and contrast. Here we also kept the same font, the same central composition, but at the bottom we thought about showing a 3D render. Here we showed a draft where there could be a planet, and also to show an animation, like, yes, for example, how a person from one part of the world, thanks to Acvian, goes through different stages again, bureaucracy and so on, and then goes to work at some big company. So, friends, the sixth concept that I assigned to our designer at that time was, I think, one of the first projects of our company. But I already wanted him to get some practice and be involved in a major project. Here he also created a concept similar to the previous ones, where we have a green composition in the center, and again, an interesting little planet. Here, we had the idea to use illustrations in a style similar to, well, like Wise. For those who don't know or haven't seen the Wise website, I highly recommend checking it out because they also had a really great update in 2022. We actually took this illustration directly from the Wise website. At the concept stage, we can borrow something from somewhere because it's not going into production. This is just to show the direction. And of course, we tell the client that if they like it, we can later create a unique illustration that's similar to the one from the company where we took this direction from. And here it's the same, basically, to show how people from different parts of the world can move and work in other companies thanks to Acvian. And the last one was like this, really quite different from the others as well. This one is more in a digital format, futuristic, where we also show these connections from different parts of the world. Acvian connects them and also features the brand colors. And here we thought of using some custom illustrations made from primitive shapes. So friends, we presented all these ideas for the Acvian company in detail. They in turn said, friends, fantastic work. We really like the first and third options. We said, great, let us refine them further. We decided to use the colors from the third option, the illustration from the first, and showed a few more variations. We showed how it could be improved even further by reducing the amount of text on the first screen, making it into toggles so it would be even more readable, right? Like onboard talent, hire in 24 hours, manage and pay your team. So on the side, there's an illustration, then a trust badge, and then a block with our services. The second option was where we have a mirror layout, and here we use a gradient. The second block is in a dark theme. For the most part, everything else is very, very similar. Then came the third iteration where we use one color. This is the somewhat turquoise one. You can also see here there's a different font called Detail Shame. Here there's an awesome font called, if I'm not mistaken, Hagrid. We showed and once again presented a detailed loom to the client where we demonstrated all of this. And after that, following the client's feedback, we proceeded to make the third iteration. The client once again said, friends, we like everything, but we would really like to see more color palette options. We show something to the client gives us feedback, we collect that feedback and make adjustments. This is the first iteration. At each stage design concept, presentation of the first main page, presentation of all pages, presentation of the adaptive version at every stage, the client has the opportunity to give us 3 rounds of revisions. So in the third iteration, we created even more color combinations, where we have the first screen in turquoise, where we have the first screen in dark with a bluish gradient, where the first screen is completely blue with this kind of illustration, and where everything is light with accent illustrations, buttons, and so on. And the client said, friends, fantastic. Thank you very much. I like the colors in the third option the most, but I prefer the second block from the first option. We said, great, shall we finalize it? Let's do it. And the last iteration, friends, 1, 2, 3, the fourth. 4 iterations of concepts. We showed several different versions of the second block and also presented various options for the buttons on the first screen. Of course, we told the client that we should use the color scheme from the first option because we want the primary button to be the most contrasting. If we make it the same color as the illustration, the contrast isn't great because attention gets split between the illustration and the button. Here, it's the same situation. It's a bit better, but the button still blends in with the other elements. That's why we decided to go with this option. And for the second block as well, the client chose the first option. So the design concept stage is complete. So friends, let's move on. Our next stage is the development of the design for all desktop pages. And of course, we started with the main page. As you can see, once again, our color scheme has changed a bit. We changed the color of the illustrations to white, but decided to make the button turquoise. In doing so, we improved the contrast even further, making the button the only element that stands out the most on the screen. All the other elements are white, which allows us to manage users' attention very effectively. Also, back at the concept stage, we created 3 bullet points here. During development, we decided to add an animation where each of the 3 texts is typed out and erased, one after another in a repeating sequence. For the second section, we still went back to a different option, again, through communication with the client. We also created custom icons here in the same style, made sure to show how the fixed menu looks, how the drop-down looks, demonstrated how it appears on a blue background, on a dark background, showed how the cookies banner looks closed, open, and so on, all the settings. Thanks to the first screen, thanks to this illustration, we developed a vision of what style elements we could have certain illustrations, certain icons, certain shapes that would form the Acvian brand. And of course, we took these dots from the logo. Of course, we also took these curves, like arrows, from the logo, and all of this became the foundation of Acvian's visual style. The client also purchased the Hagrid font, which he really liked. We bought this font, and it adds a really cool, unique, and distinctive vibe and mood to the overall creative project. We created cool sections with large cards, and also made template sections with some icons. The same goes for the call to action sections, where we also drew these custom illustrations, client testimonials, a slide where everything is built as components. The things we knew would be repeated on other pages. So the page features a block with 3 steps, along with a call to action form and a large content-rich footer. And look, friends, of course, we show what all the elements look like. They were made by UiKid. We'll show that a little later. See, take a look. What do we do next, friends? This is the services page. Let's start from the end. Yes, they have a service called immigration service where they help employees immigrate. And here we showed, we drew ourselves in Figma by hand an illustration where we wanted to show that there are steps: talk to us, get support, choose best solution, and relocate talents. And we wanted the circle to fill with white, with a little airplane flying here. And as it went ping, ping, it would light up each of those points, thus showing which services, yes, specifically within this big service the company Acvian provides. Here we also plan to change the photos. I'll show this in more detail now. The second illustration is for the service called payroll service, which essentially means, in other words, that Acvian helps companies pay their employees legally all over the world through them. Next, we have the HR service, where we show how Acvian helps with headhunting and finding talent around the world. Next, friends, we have a service called PO. Essentially, this is the most popular service where Acvian offers to hire employees from practically any location in the world. And there was also a service, specifically their platform. Yes, this is Acvian SaaS, which we also presented as a service page. This is one of the services provided by Acvian, and we presented it in a more product-oriented SaaS style format. And as you can see, all our service pages have a similar style with blue backgrounds. And while they are very similar in style, each features unique, custom, metaphorical illustrations. And then the structure is mostly the same throughout. Only the migration support and Acvian platform pages are somewhat different. Next, there was the company page, the one about us, and we decided to make it turquoise. We wanted to highlight the uniqueness of this page. Here, we created a really cool illustration. Our goal was to show what Acvian was like, what was happening with Acvian in 2020, and what it is like now. And here, we decided to create a really cool illustration where we described and showed how it should look. As you scroll, the flag that symbolizes the beginning grows into Acvian, and at the end, as today, this circle expands into a three-dimensional shape. And on the side, we see different people, various icons that symbolize Acvian's activities. Next, of course, there are some facts presented. Our team, by the way, these are real photos of the Acvian team members. Next, again, we have the review, our values, history, footer, and so on. Next, we have this, the company page block, the block of company-related page categories about us, our services, our team, us, Acvian. Next, there is the Why Acvian page. Here are the advantages, everything that makes them valuable and what sets them apart from other companies, and the career section, which again features a unique page with a unique illustration, where we see that Acvian is a large international company, what their values are, what reviews they have, what benefits are offered to employees and the open vacancies. Next, you can see there is also a page listing the open positions separately, a page for each specific position, and a pricing page. Then there are pages for the countries category, where they show in which countries their offices are located, and a large section of pages called resources. Here we have the Acvian blog with the search function and the featured article along with various categories. The article itself is set up very correctly and efficiently from a CMS perspective. I'll show you this now. Next, we have case studies. Essentially, yes, these are success stories from clients who have worked with Acvian. Next, we have the payroll cost estimator, where we designed and during development connected the backend to the calculator to show in detail how you can calculate and find out how much it will cost, basically what the costs are. Next, friends, we have a page about the war in Ukraine. In detail, how can you help Ukraine? The FAQ page and technical pages. And of course, the contacts, yes. There's also a contact form and a calendar booking form. And some additional pages we created are about partnerships and about the offices. That's the story, friends. Quite extensive, wouldn't you say? After we created, of course, the custom design for all the desktop pages, we naturally moved on to the mobile stage. On the mobile versions, we tried to fully convey the same vibe as on the desktop. I can confidently say we succeeded in doing that. At the top, we need to show the offer, then the illustrations. Many of our blocks are rearranged vertically downward. Some of the blocks are presented as sliders. Certain animations, like those triggered by scrolling, will work on mobile via swipe. Of course, the illustration we were supposed to have here, where the flag grows, the Acvian logo appears, and then something else big increases in size, we're actually removing this entirely because it won't work well on mobile. Well, naturally, all the mobile versions were done. And after the mobile versions, friends, what do we do next? We build a large UI kit. We create all the styles so that the whole story can be handed over to development in a very high quality and beautiful way. And we've built a clear system that will allow this site to be scaled to other pages and maybe even to other platforms. All blocks or interface elements that involve any kind of interaction or change of states, we of course place all of that in the UI kit so that our developer can clearly and transparently understand exactly what should happen with the site. Search, pagination, and so on. And friends, a very important point that also took us quite a bit of time is building the CMS article components. You see, look, we created a large instruction manual for the CMS. Let me remind you that this was developed on Webflow, and on our end, we created the article components that are here. There are H2, HON, H3, H4, there are sliders, and there is media. This can be either a photo gallery or a video gallery. There is a regular link, and there is a link with padding on top. There is also an element type called a list. It can be single, just a single item. It can be single with padding, or it can have nesting. There is numbering, there are various buttons, and there are different tables. We designed 3 types of tables so that during development, the team could easily implement them, and the Acvian team on their end could simply select which type to add to an article by clicking a plus sign and then work with it. The same goes for inserts, like some kind of banner with a button or a testimonial. And here you have spacing between elements. A nav tab for pagination, some icons to click so that a video from the web plays, and so on. So friends, that's the kind of colossal work that went into the design stage and building all of this logic. Let's quickly move on to the already coded website and see what we ended up with in the final version. So friends, this is what the Acvian website looks like already developed and coded. This is what the illustration looks like, the one we animated, converted to Lottie, and added to the site. It's very well optimized and looks really high quality and interesting. Text fill animation, hovers. Take a look at how nicely the navbar works. First of all, when you hover over it, there's this really interesting animation. See, up, panned. We've also added a call to action here. When you scroll, the navbar shrinks a bit and switches to a white background. Let's keep moving. Here we have these cards with countries, sliders, and these blocks with steps 1 to 3. Here are our forms and a large footer where everything works really well and looks great. Take a look at how the Acvian platform service pages look. Here is the Acvian platform. Next we have the PEO page where there's this kind of animation. It demonstrates different employees with various professions in different parts of the world. Then there's payroll, where we show how payments are made through Acvian. Boom, Acvian easily pays employees anywhere in the world for you. ER is similar to PEO and the HR service, where we have this kind of scenario. Boom, it went through Acvian. Boom, it went through Acvian. And then we have immigration support where Acvian helps relocate talent from different parts of the world. Boom, that's it. John has flown. Next up is Alice. Boom, she's flown. And what I really liked was the animation on the About Us page. Here's their photo, a really cool big team right here. And here's the animation look. As you scroll, boom, 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 there you go, just like that. Take a look. That's the story, you see? Even on huge B2B websites, just massive ones with big admin panels, we try to add cool interactions and creative solutions because it's important. Companies need to stand out. Companies need to be authentic, unique, and have their own character. So friends, that's the story. A lot of work went into the design, the development, the admin panel, and so on, but it was work. Of course, at the end, we also had a final call with the clientas. We always do where we asked the client about everything regarding their experience working with us, what they liked, what they didn't like, especially what they didn't like, so we could understand what we need to improve in the future. Do you remember a moment during your collaboration with the Figmatica team when you felt that the project was moving in the right direction? And what was that moment and why was it important?
Actually, that moment happened, I think, right at the very beginning, as soon as we started working together. Basically, when we received the first design drafts, when we asked you to create several visions of what our new website could look like, that was the moment. We specifically needed some analysis from the contractor side, rather than us providing huge technical specifications and detailing everything down to each letter. We needed an outside perspective and a more design-oriented approach because we simply didn't have those capabilities ourselves. And that's exactly why I think we ended up satisfied with the result, because from the very beginning we had that vision from you. You listened carefully to what needed to be changed and offered your own ideas. Thanks to that, I think everything turned out really well.
The client was satisfied. He has already recommended us more than once. And one insight we gained is that there's no need to create 7 design concepts. The clients themselves said, "Friends, if you had made 3 for us but spent a bit more time on them, it would have been more convenient and easier for us to choose." 7 is too many. That was valuable. That was clear. See you, friends. Bye bye.